Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jade. I'm here to help you grow your online presence and create profitable businesses. This is the first time I'm filming in 2022. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling ready. I've got a really good video for you today. So I want to talk specifically about my top 5 secrets for growing on Instagram in 2022. So I've been working on this video for a while. I've been studying some trends, looking at some really incredible accounts, what are growing well, reviewing my own account, so what's worked, what's not worked, and that's how I've landed on these top 5 secrets. So let's not just hang around, let's just get straight to it. Okay, so my first secret to growing on Instagram in 2022 is to stay up to date with the platform. And what I basically mean by that is you may or may not have noticed, if you haven't noticed, then where have you been? But you may or may not have noticed that Instagram made a lot of changes last year, like a significant amount of changes to their app. And if you've not seen any of my videos on the various updates that they've already made and the updates that are coming, I'll link to all of them in the description below. Note, I say all of them because there are multiple, because there were so many changes. Now, the main reason why you want to pay attention to all of Instagram's updates and new features, it isn't just because you need to know about these new features so that you know how to leverage the app properly and how to properly work it, but it's also because when Instagram releases a new feature, they tend to focus all their energy on promoting content what uses that feature. Perfect case in point here, Reels, guys. Let's remember that Reels were introduced in 2020. I think a lot of people think it was more recent than that, but it was actually 2020 when Reels were first introduced. Now, there was about a year to 18-month period where Instagram were relentlessly pushing anyone's content what used that Reels feature. So anyone who was sharing Reels, Instagram was pushing their content out to as many people as they possibly could. Why were they doing this? Well, they wanted other people to start using the feature. And the best way to get other people to start using the feature is to show them other content, what's been created using that feature, right? So I'm sure you would have noticed, if you're someone who's watching this and produces a lot of Reels now, if you think back to when you first decided to start using Reels, I'm willing to bet that it was because you saw a really great Reel on your home feed, or someone sent you a really great Reel and you thought, oh, this feature looks cool, I'm gonna give it a go. Do you see what I mean? So Instagram were pushing Reels for a while, and I'm not gonna lie to you, they're still being pushed. I don't think they'll ever not be pushed because the algorithm which powers Reels is similar to the one which powers the Explore page, which basically means that every time you share a Reel, the algorithm, which is working behind the scenes to figure out who to share your Reel to, is purposely trying to share your Reel to people who don't follow you yet. Right? So that's actually why Reels tend to reach more people than your other forms of content. But the point is that in the early days, it was reaching even more people than they're currently reaching now. And the people who saw the most growth last year were the ones who jumped on that trend and learned how to use Reels, got really good at it, and just started using it relentlessly. And those are the people who saw this huge growth on their channels. And I will hold my hands up, right, and say that I don't think I jumped onto that trend quick enough. I've always had a bit of an aversion to Reels and TikTok. I'm getting over it now. I've even created my own TikTok account, so I'm forcing myself out of my comfort zone, so I'm getting out of it now. But I wasn't quick to jump on it. Like, I was a bit of a carousel gal, you know? That was my preferred format. So yeah, I was slow to jump on it. And I mean, I hate to do should have, would have, could have, but I probably would have grown a lot quicker if I jumped on that trend a lot quicker than I actually did. So that is one of my secrets to growing in 2022. Keep an eye on the changes what are happening to Instagram. And the second a new feature is released, or the second they say they're going to start tweaking one of their existing features, start using that feature more. Get to know it, understand it, learn how to leverage it. And in case you're wondering, well, how do I do that and how do I stay up to date? I always recommend that you follow Adam Missouri. He is the head of Instagram. He shares updates as and when they are made public. And also subscribe to me if you haven't already, because I always upload content which not only tells you what these updates and new features are, but I also tell you how you can leverage them to grow. So my second secret to growing on Instagram in 2022 is that value will remain king/queen. Basically, value will be the most important thing. And this has been the case for a little while. I would say for majority of last year, but this year it's going to be the case even more so. And I think an important thing to remember when we're talking about why you need to offer value as part of your content strategy on Instagram is that the world of Instagram has changed rapidly, and what it takes to grow on the platform now is not the same as what it took to grow on the platform before. And this is coming from me. I've had multiple accounts. Like this time last year, I had about 6 accounts. And I remember I once grew an account to 10,000-ish followers back in 2016, and I can tell you that what it took to grow that account to 10,000 followers in 2016 versus what it took to grow my current account to 10,000 followers in the beginning of 2022 is completely different. They're completely different strategies. It takes so much more work now. It is so difficult now. So one of the main differences in terms of what it takes to now grow on Instagram is that you have to be relentless with the value that you are providing to your audience. It's no longer enough just to share pretty photos or pretty, content. You now need to make sure that all of your content has some form of substance to it and you're actually giving something of value to your audience. Just imagine anyone who lands on your profile, imagine them to be a super selfish human being. I don't think they're all going to be super selfish, but some of them will. Just imagine that they're a really super selfish human being and ask yourself, okay, if this super selfish person is looking at my profile and deciding whether or not to follow me, do you honestly think that you are offering something to a selfish person which is going to be strong enough to get them to follow your page? So this is where the value comes in. Like on my page, I am literally giving you value in the forms of tips on how to grow your online presence, business tips, entrepreneurial content, inspiration. Like that's what I'm giving you on a daily basis. So if someone lands on my profile, hopefully what they'll see is like, okay, this girl is literally providing me with free value every day. This person's actually dedicated to help me improve my life in some way, so I'm going to follow them. If you're from a different niche, I know sometimes it could be a bit difficult to figure out what that value is. But for example, if you're from a fashion niche, your value could quite literally be that you are really great at presenting and finding the most sustainable fashion finds, or maybe you're really good at helping teach people how to style their items properly, or maybe you're really good at helping people restyle their current wardrobe. Get really creative and really think about, okay, what is it that I'm offering through my content that will actually be of value to my audience? And if you can't think of anything, you're in trouble. You've got to sit down and spend some time trying to identify what that value is. So my next secret to growing on Instagram in 2022 is to share your point of view. So this one is going to be tricky for a lot of people to do, and a lot of people might disagree with this tip, and that's okay. I'm always up for a healthy debate. The reason why I put this one in here, it's actually a realization that I came to when I was reviewing my 2021 social media progress and actually establishing a strategy for this year. If you want more information on that, I created a whole video about it. I'll link to it up here. But one thing that I noticed that I was doing wrong last year is I was repurposing a lot of really famous and inspirational quotes, because a key content strand for my strategy is to inspire my audience, right? I know that that's something that my audience perceives as valuable and responds well to. So how I was doing that was frankly a bit of a lazy way. I don't think I was consciously doing it because it was easier, but now that I look back at it, I realized that it was definitely a bit of a cop-out, the way that I was doing this. So as I mentioned, I was repurposing quotes, really amazing, famous quotes that I absolutely loved, but I was repurposing them and I was editing them and presenting them in a way which aligned with my branding, but was very much still obviously not my quote, right? And the effects of that were still successful. People responded well to it. People still wanted to hear these quotes. It's not like these quotes weren't good, but what I was missing was me. Because all I was doing was repurposing what someone else has said, rather than actually sitting down and spending the time to write some advice in my own words and write some inspirational content in my own words. And when you look at the really successful Instagram pages, specifically within my niche, but also within other niches, you'll notice that that's what they do, what's different. They actually write up inspirational information and present it in their own way with their own words. And the reason why that becomes so powerful is that that is a real unique selling point of your channel. People will come to you and stay on your channel and follow you because they now want to hear your opinion and your wise words in your own point of view and in your own tone of voice. If you're just repurposing other people's content and other people's posts, they can actually get that anywhere. So there's nothing what's making that content unique. And this isn't me saying never do that, never repurpose someone else's content, obviously with permission, or I'm not saying, never repurpose quotes. Of course, still do that when you want to, but you've got to make sure that throughout all of your content, not just quotes, but your captions, you are sharing your point of view, you are sharing something in your own tone of voice, and you're making your content unique to you. So my next secret to growing on Instagram in 2022 is that your highlights could actually be the key to growth. Now, people sleep on highlights. Highlights are like that forgotten child. I feel bad for them. They need better PR. Like, they're just not getting the recognition that they deserve. And the reason why I think highlights can really be a key to growth for a lot of you guys this year is because of how highlights should and are currently being used. So in order for me to explain this properly, I first want to talk about stories, because stories and highlights go hand in hand. If you don't know, where you get your content from for your highlights is actually from your stories, right? So Your stories should be used for you to bond with your audience. They're your place for you to show your behind the scenes of yourself, your life, your brand, your business, whatever it is. You bring people behind the scenes, and it's your opportunity to speak to the camera, to share photos, share content, which is really personable and authentic, right? So if you're using your stories properly and you're sharing all of this incredible content all the time, and you're really bonding with your audience, and you're getting loads of responses, and it's all going super well, you've got to think that majority of the people who look at your stories are people who already follow you. I'm not saying every single person, but majority of the people who look at your stories are from your current followers. It's people who are, I like to call them story surfers. It's people who are just surfing their stories, right? They're surfing the stories of people that they already follow. Now, what that means is that these new people who might be coming to your page, checking you out, maybe they found a really cool reel, or maybe you're on the explore page and they've headed to your profile and they're trying to figure out whether or not they're gonna follow you. Now, unfortunately, if you don't have any stories live that day, or even if you do have some stories live, but they're maybe not the best stories you've ever created, this new person has been robbed of the opportunity to see all of your amazing, authentic, raw story content. They've been robbed of this opportunity because your stories disappear after 24 hours. They've just never had the chance to see them. What your highlights do is they allow you to curate the best of your stories and make them easily accessible to everyone, regardless of when they're looking at your profile, regardless of if they're new to your channel. They can look at your stories and get an instant feel for who you are and what your life is like. And it's just a really powerful way to develop an instant connection with a new follower or with someone who's just browsing your page, right? And that's why I think highlights, when used correctly, could really be a key growth driver for you this year. Okay, so the next secret that I want to share, and it's one that I really want to try and incorporate myself on my channel this year, is to treat your Instagram like a channel. So it's almost like treat it like a TV channel. Instagram is actually a marketing channel, but for most people, they don't necessarily treat it like a channel. And one way that you can do this is to develop some form of series to get people to keep on coming back to your channel for more. Okay, an example I want to use here is Tara May. She is a British blogger. She has the most incredible wardrobe. Check out her channel. I'll link to it in the description in case you want to see what I'm talking about. I became aware of Tara during the whole, thing that will not be named, but that big thing that changed the world that's been going on for like 2 years. So I became aware of Tara during that time, right? And the thing what instantly hooked me to her was she used to do this thing where she would jump on her stories every morning and she'd put her camera up on her windowsill and she'd do her makeup and she'd just talk and she'd just have a good old chat about what's going on in the world, what was on Gogglebox last night, which is like a British TV show where we literally watch people watch TV. I know it sounds ridiculous, but it's actually very entertaining. But she would just sit and talk about all this stuff. And when I looked at her stories, I think I looked at her stories before I'd even followed her. I'm one of those people, I like to look at your stories before I even decide whether or not to follow you, which links to my previous point. But I looked at her stories and I was like, I just felt like, it wasn't like she was particularly super funny or she was doing anything outrageous. It was just, she was very relatable. And, during a time where we weren't necessarily seeing many people face to face, it was nice just to sit there and feel like you had a bit of a friend talking to you. It almost felt like, when you're getting ready for a night out and all your friends are just kind of sitting around doing their makeup and talking. It felt like that. So it was lovely. And she used to do that every day. And I say used to, she probably still does that now, right? And she blew up during this time. She has hundreds of thousands of followers now. And it's not just because of those stories. Don't get me wrong, her actual content is incredible as well. But it's a really good example of how she created something what got people coming back for more. So my tip for you in regards to this secret is to try and think of something you can do on a regular basis with your audience, which will keep them coming back to you for more. Whether it's a weekly live, a daily Instagram story series, whatever it is, try and come up with something what makes people think, oh, it's Friday, I'm going to go head over to Sarah's channel today because she does this on Fridays. It's super powerful. Okay, so that is the end of today's video. I really hope you found it useful. If you did, I recommend checking out this video. It is all about the top things you need to know if you're trying to grow your Instagram account. Thank you so much for watching. As always, I will see you in my next video.